You know, I can tell you the best testimony to someone that's gone through that is to love them through it.
Yeah.
And to sit one-on-one with them. You don't have to Bible beat them. Be careful with that. Because unless they come from a place where they've been Bible raised, you need to watch what you do with the book. You'd be better off to paraphrase it than to open it up and do this. Because I don't care if you think that's the best thing. It will scare someone who doesn't know the Bible away. This book can be used for good and for beating on either side. So if you talk to somebody, you want to encourage, it's not whether you had a church family, it's, they say I don't like organized religion. Well, could you tell me why? Well, because I haven't felt very welcome there. I was able to testify and say, well, you can come to my church, you and I are the same kind. You're just taller than I am, and I'd like to have some height. But you're not going to get shamed for being transgender here. Right. I didn't have to open the book. I just had to say you won't get the sneers and jeers, and if you get it and I find out, it's going to stop. Because that's not who we are, and I don't believe I trust y'all. Y'all really give first-timers a good greeting. We kind of fall at getting that back. But I'm here to tell you that you can do that by being involved with other people. And it doesn't have to be just GLBT. We would be doing good if we were teaching other heterosexual people how to love. Mm-hmm. How to love those that hit that rhetoric. It's a tall order. But Christ didn't say it was going to be a cup of tea. It's almost like when I looked at this, I could hear Christ saying, this is what I'm willing to go through for your sin.
And he did.
And I expect you to do the same. I got the sin covered. I got you covered in that, but I still want you to be someone that loves other people and does good unto people.
Well, you notice too, Pastor, when you read, if you continue reading in the passage, Jesus says, now if you love those who already love you, what credit is that to you?
Yep.
It's no big deal. He goes, He goes, that's exactly
if you give to those that are going to give back, what credit is that? Right. It's like a hallmark for a hallmark.
He says that's how the rabbis were. That's how the rabbis were operating. They said, you love only those who love you, hate your enemies. You only help those who are willing to help themselves, and so forth. And Jesus comes along and says something totally different. Something that totally goes against all of our grains. We're the kind, we like revenge. We like to get even. It reminds me of that old story, where the, truck driver stops at the restaurant, goes in there and sits down, orders some food, barely gets it served to him, and three big old biker characters come in, they see him, they decide they're going to hassle him. So they do. They pick up his hamburger, take a bite out of it. Another man picks up a whole handful of French fries. Another guy picks up his cup of coffee, begins to drink it. No response from the truck driver at all. The truck driver finally, he just gets up, goes up to the counter, pays for his food. The waitress is watching as he leaves. And these three bikers say, well, that sure wasn't much of a man, was it? See, well, I don't know what kind of man he was. Wasn't much of a driver either. He just ran over three big old motorcycles. We hear that and we go, yeah. But you know what? Jesus says something totally different. Jesus says, do good to those that are mean to you.
That's right. And you love, and you do good.
And if we don't, and really, it's psychological. You know what? Bitterness and anger affects us bodily. You realize it eats up emotions that it shouldn't eat up. When you begin to look at studies, you realize that anger really destroys people. Because that's all you can think about. You go home and you go, man, I don't like what that person did to me. What can I do? And it just keeps building up and up. And when you need to say, well, it goes on, Jesus goes, let's pray for them, bless them, do good to them. Because you see, those reactions then begin a healing process in its pastor. We may not like it that much, but when we begin to do that, and it becomes just part of our nature, our Christ-like nature, then guess what? We are victorious. And then, of course, it helps to win people to the Lord. People look at you and go, man, what kind of person is that? Man, I just wanted to, So.
And then it goes on to tell us that if they steal from you, don't take any revenge.
Yeah.
I thought, How do I dig it deeper? Think about that. Someone rips you off.
Turn the other cheek.
Yeah, with the eye.
Well, you know, Pastor, guess what? Let me give you an example. Years ago, one of my first pastorates, I was, my house was robbed. I was not a happy camper. I came home from church. Somebody had broken in. And lo and behold, they only stole 2 things. I had this pocket watch that a dear elderly saint who loved me, she had it specially made for me and engraved and gave it to me. They stole that.
Oh, did it look like this? No.
and they stole a 6-pack of Coca-Cola. Now you have to understand, this was like almost 40 years ago, almost, and Coca-Cola was not exactly cheap. I said, I'm going to splurge. I bought myself a 6-pack of Coke. They stole that. I was so angry. I said, oh, they stole my Coca-Cola. Why? I said, I hope they catch those people. And then all of a sudden, you know what? It dawned. I said, oh, please, Lord. Maybe they needed it worse than me. You know. Now, they did catch the individuals who the thieves were. Unfortunately, I got my pocket watch back, which I was thrilled to. You know, now I never got the Coca-Cola back. You know, but I was thinking, you know, oh my goodness, I could have been angry for. Later, I just laughed about it. I said, it was God's way of showing me, you know what? Listen, that Coca-Cola just doesn't mean a blessed thing to you when it really comes down to it. And so
I think that, you know, first we start there usually with things. What will we do if we lost stuff? I know that there's folks already in here that are looking at the whole value of what you can have and what you can take with you and what's more valuable, you know, that it has to do with friendship. What if they steal your partner? Oh, look out. No revenge.
Right.
What if they steal your glory? Or take credit for your thought?
Mm-hmm.
Or what if you're at work and they take credit for what you did at work? You know, it just keeps going into that deeper place. And, you know, by the time I got done with this, it's like Jesus calls us to shut up and walk out in the world and be nice. Don't say anything. Because you just about would get hooked on any one of these. That you might say things that you're going to end up having to come back to make amends. It's a tall order, what it was called to. And finally I thought, you know, what kind of attitude do I need to walk out of my front door in? That has a lot to do about the direction of my day. You know, if I end up late and I've got stuff I have to get done and I'm frustrated, that's when everything's going to fall. Darcy goes out, she won't be in there for a shot, and I got her ready to go. I mean, when I do that, when I jump up and I go in a hurry, it is so much better for me when I take an extra half hour every morning. I set the alarm a half hour earlier than I really need to be up. And that's the time in which I try to set myself for how I want to walk out that door. What do I want to focus on that day? You know, I'm usually not so good when I don't, because I end up reacting too fast. Or if I'm harboring a thought that's negative, I just seem to, you know, go with it. Mm-hmm. I walk out the door going, geez, I don't feel very good today, blah, blah, blah. Pretty soon I'm just fueling my own fire. You know, blah, 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 until I've dragged that down. And so a lot has to do about attitude. You know, how do I want to set the ship to sail today? And even if it's only one of those things that are in there, is that today I would like to be kind to all I have come in contact with. And if I have ill thought, I would like to change that to a kind thought. Mm-hmm. You know, if I'm running something in my head, I need to turn that around and change that to a kind thought, which comes in the prayer, the lifting up, you know, the not allowing that negativity to run that way. Because who does it end up usually hurting? It'll hurt my relationship with God, my relationship with my brothers and sisters, my relationship with other people in that day. I can't stress how important that is. And, you know, for some of y'all, you may not work mornings, you may work afternoons. Same thing. How I walk out of that door, what does God call me to be today? And, you know, I'm not ever as prepared when I just go blazing down the door and don't think about it. You know, or try to do it on the way driving in and watching the road. But if I don't take that time and say, you know, today I would like to treat others as they treat me. I would want them to treat me. And that's the only mantra I need to have that day. I don't need to have a whole dang big page full of stuff about all this wonderful godly stuff. Just one focus.
Mhm.